Alright guys, I'm back again. Yeah, I had to kind of restart. For some reason, my settings weren't working properly on my end, so I figured I'd go ahead and kind of restart everything, so I know everything would kind of start working properly. I figured for today, guys, I figured I'd do a simple one. I think where maybe I take a break from, decided to take a break from actually doing a show. I decided to actually do some grilling, grilling and some fireworks. So I figured what I'll probably do here is probably one where he's actually probably doing some tuning probably on his little grill. So I hope you guys are having a great day so far, even if your day is just getting started. So I feel that's why we're kind of a light sketch. Alright, so I hope you guys have been having a wonderful day so far. In fact, let me actually send out a brief message to you guys knowing that I'm actually streaming. Give me just one moment, guys. Hey, Shay, hello. I'm doing fine today. It's Wednesday. I watched Young Kid Batman for the first time on Saturday during Key Tree. I'll post one Tuesday. Oh, wonderful! I'm glad to hear that. Hope you had a wonderful time. I hope you had a really wonderful time. That's great. That's really great. Yeah, I figured for today I'd probably do. I think I'd do a drawing of May doing a little bit of two like past on 4th of July because it was here at least here's in America where I am. It's it's 4th of July, so I figured mixing two pastimes and like grilling and fireworks. But unfortunately, he ended up unintentionally ended up mixing the two of them together, and so I figured I'd do it. Maybe he's probably got two types of like hot dogs. Maybe he's mixed in, like these red hot dogs with some hot dog with actually got these like red fireworks that he's got. So let me see. Let me just kind of get his hands here, and let me see. And I figured for what I have here going on is I think maybe I'll have maybe his briefcase is kind of set like a little mini grill. And so I figured I have it here to maybe his briefcase has like a little grill kind of bit on the inside. His little bottomless briefcase, and if you will. And I think maybe it's kind of a scenario I think where he probably was trying to grill, but instead of actually grilling some nice hot dogs, and bring these links here. And I think what I'll probably do here is probably have is to do kind of do what I did before Brendan Barty did when he did my art trade with him, where where he tried doing a fire brain jet in back with one of his characters, but he ended up kind of burning himself in the process. Yeah, the first time I was Yante was Valley State Valley's production. Oh, nice. Oh, it's in Vienna. Now Vienna State. Now this is actually in Vienna, like the actual city, or just kind of just kind of like elsewhere. Oh, Vienna State Opera. Okay, so it is. Oh, it's in Austria. Okay, I had to look that up just to be sure. I think maybe some of his hair is probably burned off. Yeah, I figure. Let me actually kind of get around his shoulders here. Yeah, I figured for today's stream, I'll try to keep this one. Call y'all airs concert outside. Yeah, indeed it does. In fact, that's kind of one of the places I'd love to actually go back and visit one of these days. Next time I go back to New York, because I remember I actually went to probably New York probably maybe probably only one time in my life on a school field trip. Yeah, but But I think the places that we went, I think we went to like, of course, we went to Times Square. We went to Apollo. We got a chance to I think we got a chance to go to the like Empire State Building. I don't think we went to that many shows though. Yeah, that's the thing about New York though. There's so many things. They got so many things up there going on. You're not gonna get a chance to kind of do everything. You're not gonna get a chance to get all of everything done. Because I think Empire State we went, which was another place we went. We actually got a chance to go inside. So we did the Empire State Building. Went inside the United Nations. And while it was cool, like visiting New York, visit New York, and I definitely have to visit again. And I don't know if it's a city I would want to actually live in. On top of just being so a lot bigger than Georgia. It seems so much busy, and a lot more hectic than Georgia is down here. And I figure maybe I'll have it here where maybe the links he just put down actually just kind of blew up in his face. Teacher then is marvelous with marvelous that night. Watch a video where Cindy Forrest was chiefly. Oh, cool. Now Cynthia Harvey, that name sounds familiar. Is she like a very popular like ballet dancer in a way? Because that name does sound familiar. I figured. Let me. I think it's looking pretty good, so I'm gonna go ahead and actually start drawing this in. Again, hey Brendan. Yeah, I ended the other stream kind of early. I was having a big few technical difficulties on my end. Yeah, for some reason, the screen was off. At least on my end, the screen was suddenly kept glitching up. So I thought I just actually just kind of just restart and start over. Yeah, but everything's okay now. But what I'm doing now is that basically I'm just kind of drawing Manny actually grilling and doing fireworks on 4th of July. But as you can sort of see, like from his sketch, he kind of got his both activities actually like mixed up. Instead of grilling some red hot dogs like he actually planned on, some red fireworks, what he ended up actually doing by mistake. Of course, that's what happens. We keep both your fireworks and your grilling stuff in the same briefcase. I hope you guys are having a great week so far. It's for reason it went by. It went by so quick for me earlier this week. Really busy. In fact, I'm projecting today to be kind of a busy day because I actually do have to go in for work like later on, this afternoon. So when so where I am, since I'm at Publix, we're probably having a lot of people. Probably a lot of people probably come in probably last minute, probably get their food, kind of getting their extra fireworks. I think well here we are, we only have two. Stores, you'll see the grocery store, they only kind of a limited variety of like fireworks. Of course, you're gonna have me like your sparklers, your little poplars. Obviously, not gonna have the heavy duty stuff. Now, granted, I think right now, like since it's been so hot lately, they're probably gonna have a limit. Try to let that phone after I get out of the rain. Oh man, I'm sorry that happened. Hopefully, oh, I'm glad you at least. I'm glad you were able to at least recover it though. Your phone didn't get soaked, did it? So I could think of a few times. I think I've had to get like leave my. I've almost lost my phone due to like different issues. I had to lose my phone. I think the. I think the one. Oh man. Oh, that sucks. I hope it's. Yeah. Well, at least from what I'm seeing, hopefully at least it still works. Cause I think one time I think at least I'm hoping it still works. Well, at least because I had to think about this one time. That's what I had to do one time with mine. What happened was about this was back when I was still in college. We had I forgot what I was doing. I forgot what class it was for, but we had to go to this. But we had to go to this the creek. We had to go to the creek behind the campus, and it was something I had to do. I think something dropped into the creek, so I went to go get it. I ended up kind of falling in, and of course, keep by the time, my phone was in my pocket, so I ended up having to I ended up having to kind of like do holding in rice where because like even though it dried up, yeah, I did kind of sort of kind of get extra moisture out of there because it would not come back on. So I understand that struggling as far as trying to get to work after all that. Days World fan, Days World fan, hello, good to see you. And there was another time I think where I lost my phone. This time it wasn't due to any water issues. It was because of this new phone case I had. So this was actually a couple. It was like years ago. I think back when I was still in high school, where I had to get a I did a ballet shoe. Oh, cool. Well, I know ballerina poses. I know you probably master account. You're getting the right footwear looking good. But good to see you too. Oh yeah, yeah. It took a while for it to finally get on because since it was like completely almost underwater for like a half for like a couple for almost like half a second. Well, it's probably a couple of seconds. Because lucky when I fell in, it was only probably like it was just only. Oh yeah, because I think it was probably about knee. I think I only got to probably about my probably to where my legs were. Ooh, it's a new story ideas. The Lapis hyena Hardy is told off for laughing in appropriate environment too becomes downtrodden. Aw. And there's a time and place for laughter and jokes, but has to say everyone when it's okay to. Yeah, that's a good. I like that. That's actually a good lesson. Because yeah, you definitely want to make sure you want to make sure when you're telling jokes, especially comedian, is understanding like your environment, understanding your environment, knowing it's the best time to do it, and honestly, and honestly, your probably your best material will shine. Like you're telling at the best, tell at the best timing. It helps to know your audience too. If you know your audience is in the mood for laughing, then you can tell your best, get your material going. But if they're not, then they'll always start backfiring on you. Also, I thought about the other thing else that we did think about a week or two ago when we kind of did our role play thing with both Manny and Hardy. It actually been being a lot of fun. It's kind of going back and forth with different material. FIFA football, I draw football too. Oh, cool. Well, I'll have to see. Yeah, I'll have to see the Yeah, I'll have to see how the see how that turned out. Yes, indeed it is. In fact, fun fact, if I'm like since they're having the FIFA here in Atlanta, like we've actually had a lot of track. traffic going on here. I unfortunately I haven't kept up too much with the games. Maybe since I was busy with work. But one big thing that's been happening is that because of all the traffic. Oh yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Especially as not a roleplay of often because normally when it comes to like kind of like doing my when it comes to kind of doing things like kind of doing stuff with characters, I'll often tend to I often tend to really try to plan out and think out what type of dialogue or actions different characters would actually do. But yeah, that was really fun. It really was. But since they're having the FIFA games here, like we've had a lot of traffic. So as a result, since at my other day jobs, like since it's downtown, a lot, there be a lot of days we have to kind of work from home because downtown, can't let it already has a lot of like bad traffic already. But with the games going to news, was gonna be just it was gonna, just that bad, if not worse. And let me get the bar stories on too. And don't worry, I am planning on coloring this in. Let me get the little grill because as you can see, his briefcase has a little portable grill inside. He said I watch on Apple TV. That's cool. Yeah, I don't think I have Apple TV. Happy for me, it was storming a battle here last night. Oh man, so I probably got a lot of so I got a lot of rain. Yeah, at least we got. I'm glad to know you guys are safe though. That's the important thing. Cause while it's because even around this time of year, our time it gets really hot. It's all the time where sometimes the storms can get really bad around this time of year. So that's a good that y'all were safe. I figured maybe for here that some of the hot dogs, yeah, some of the hot dogs are probably hidden behind the the fireworks. Just end up why you end up kind of getting them mixed up. That's why you shame me. James Bond reference. Feels secure after his friends leave a place to find random sites to investigate and thinks they're trash behind his back. Ooh, I can see that. You can see that'd be probably a good plot line for him. He's probably going around seeing make just wrong, but I'm pretty sure it'll probably end with it being pleasantly surprised that they weren't. Especially like since he's got pretty like good like good natured friends like like Chuck and Frank. I think I have kind of like sparks from the fire that went just literally kind of blew up in his face. Yeah, because Rando he can be very crafty, very cantankerous, yet he's a pretty he's a pretty good dude. He's a pretty good snake. Yeah, I don't see his friends who actually willing to kind of like talk behind him on his back like that. Not even the not even Shark Team the hooligans. I figure if they had an issue, they would probably say it to his face. And let me see what. So I'm trying to think what else I was going to mention. What was it? What was it? Oh yeah, I think I know. I'm just gonna use a little red here. So yeah, I'm gonna use. I'm start coloring this in. So I am figure I'll use for have the hot dogs be the same color as the fireworks, just kind of cause that whole mix up in the first place. Also, speaking of stories, got a brief detour. They're not like that as just sci-fi sharp you. Oh, excellent. So I'm glad to know. I'm glad to hear that. Because you didn't even talk about on your back. It's not fun at all. And not just, even not just suspecting that you been talked about, but knowing that. Yeah, I figured Shark Tune, he's definitely a dude. If he has an issue, he'll let you know right off the bat. I heard there was one guy who ended this time on Earth through one of those big fireworks. They also had closed the highway. Oh man, I wouldn't be surprised though, because some folks they really get too carried away. With their with fireworks and do some. That's why I got. That's why I gotta be. That's why I gotta be safe with it, and also make sure you're in a good state of mind when you're using them too. But the fact they closed the highway, good God. But things like that, that's why I was just surprised. At least down here in Georgia, where if you want to get, but if you're gonna get fireworks, especially if you get it like in the regular stores here, they're usually only gonna sell you like the small stuff like the firecrackers, your Roman candles, the road gets little poppers. It's really gonna be small stuff that you can play in your backyard, like any like big time stuff. You probably have to kind of travel outside of town. Because I know we have, like, I think it's called the fireworks. I think it's called the fireworks center. I think that's what it's called, and that's kind of on the Alabama and Georgia state line. If you want the heavy duty stuff to go out there, but even then, of course, depending on how hot it's been. 'Cause I think because even though it's been hot, we had gotten a little bit of rain. I think yesterday, it was pretty cloudy. It didn't really rain that much, and I don't know. I can hear it might rain today because right now it's pretty sunny. Yeah, that's the first I've heard something like that, happening. Because I've heard of fireworks factories going off. Then he kind of get his shoes too. And of course, I've heard about other acts of people with sometimes with fireworks. Sometimes they'll be trying to light them while they're holding on to them. I heard about this one guy I think I heard a while back where he actually put where he actually kind of put a bunch of fireworks in his bucket and he sat on top of it. And without giving away too many details, it didn't end well for him. Which one thing I always say, if you're gonna use fireworks like that, especially big ones, gotta make sure you're in the right state of mind. Or be frank, does not be an idiot like Manny is here. Maybe it's kind of color around. I am planning on using more color later on. Color on here too. In fact, let me go and get them right now. It's that story I mentioned. The guy who got by firework. Yeah, I understood it was on purpose. That's what I meant by like right state. That's what I make sure you're in a right state of mind, and being that you really don't want to be kind of like dealing with that kind of stuff where you have like mental health issues. Because really no situation where you should ever feel you have to really do that. Still, that's pretty. So I'm not gonna lie, that's still pretty tragic that happened though. Yeah, that's what I meant by that right state of mind. So I saw that it was if it ended up being a little felt a little unclear. Yeah, I apologize about that. So I figure, what else was I getting ready to mention? What was it? But I don't really have that much plan going on for the fourth for today though. I think aside from kind of doing this and probably maybe talking to my family, I'll probably kind of talking on family. I'll probably just be heading to work. I think when I get off, I'll be getting off pretty late, so it'll probably I think probably mostly on the Fourth of July business. It'll probably be over by the time I get off from work. But something else I was gonna mention. What was it? It'll come back to me. That's what it always happens. I always have something that. Because I was considering say it always comes to mind, but I end up kind of losing it. It's not that I forget. It's just that usually I'm thinking about one thing, but I'm thinking about another. And since I'm kind of drawing too, I'm almost kind of like multitasking as well. Where's the black that I had? But something else I was getting. What was it? What was it? Because I think at one point I was considering doing some grilling too. But I think, yeah, but I was thinking about doing some grilling too. But I figured if I was gonna do some grilling, I'd rather do it on a day where I didn't have to work. Because normally I have to make sure I wake up early in order to kind of do like some stuff like that. Let's see, it's Cat's game. Ralph's finds a portal that allows him to enter his favorite games. I think you did mention that one a while back. I like that idea. So it's kind. So is that? I wonder if that's like a reference to the like Ender's game, because that's that kind of reminds me of. But I like that idea. Yeah, it's an amazing idea. Yeah, because I can't get the idea of. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of either either Ender's Game or what was that movie that came out years ago that had that '80s vibe, like Ready Player One? Even though I know Ready Player One that had more of a that kind of a slightly different like concept, if I remember right. Yeah, but let me. Drawing's looking great. I love it. Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, yeah, I'm glad you guys been liking it so far. Yeah, I want to try to keep today's drawing a little bit simpler. It's like since I'm a little bit simpler since I know I'll be busy, a little bit busy later on today. I think for the casing, I'll have both of it kind of maybe like this, maybe both of them kind of this bluish like bluish like casing. I say my shark tried. If my shark tried doing that, he get dragged with the fireworks. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Honestly, for a moment when I was drafted, I would consider having one. I guess where either he's strapped and where maybe he's doing one of his like comedy acts and he ends up strapping himself to a rocket. I was having so many different ideas what he could do with these rockets, but I didn't want to spend the whole morning just thinking about what he could do with it. So I think I'd probably do like a simple mishap type of one where would be would work the best. Let me see. That looks pretty good. So let me use the orange here. I thought I saw it a moment ago. Cause I know. And sometimes around this time normally I would grill, like I mentioned earlier. Only is one I'm not really going because one since I'll be busy working it, but also I don't really have a grill now. I used to have one years ago, but we long since kind of got rid of it because one it got old, but also where it wasn't fully level. So anytime I went out there to try to like grill stuff, like certain things would start rolling off. Macro Polo. I like Marco Polo, the grill. He's trying to part of a little tournament. Yeah, I like that play. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, like Mark Macro Polo, Marco Polo. I like that. They gotta make sure both the hot dogs and the fireworks are on this. Fireworks have that same color. Use a little bit of. Let me see if I have the apricot for its face. You probably can't really hear. I probably can't really hear. So I kind of like Chicago playing faintly in the background. And I was thinking, I think one of the songs I just played early on was Fun if it was their song Saturday in the Park. Funny which it has that lyric. I think it was 4th of July in there. Tend to listen a lot of like old school groups. When it comes to Chicago, I do tend to listen to them every now and then. Normally, if I listen, I tend to listen to a lot of their '70s stuff. Those I remember Chicago, they were kind of more of a jazz rock type of band. With a rock, but they kind of had like these big band horns, and they kind of had that whole like big band meets rock kind of '70s. But I know in the later on in the '80s, they went more kind of an AOR like like '80s rock type of deal. And while I think the later stuff, and while I'm not like, a huge fan of like the latter part of the period, it's kind of grown on me over the years, especially since a lot of that stuff was sung by their bass player Pizza Terra, because he initially was just their bass. Because initially he was just only like their bass player back in the early part of the group. He was their bass player, but he would occasionally sing. But he wasn't necessarily like their lead singer because usually they would share vocals like in the early part of the group because it would be him, it'd be the piano player like Robert Lamb and their guitarist Terry Caff. But over time, once as their sound changed, he kind of ended up being like the unofficial singer of the group. But then he ended up kind of going solo like later on, and he quit. Let me see. But what else I to mention? And but all serious guys, yeah, please, if you're doing fine, please be safe out there. And if you're having issues or troubles, like make sure you actually get help and actually treat yourself accordingly. Yeah, I apologize if I came off as incensed about the fireworks thing earlier. I didn't intend on doing that. But if I did, I really do apologize about that. But let me kind of get the this bar stool here. Alicia, goodbye, Reggie. I'm glad you're dropping, Shay. It was great to see you. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope to see the new art. I hope to see the new art you got planned. Let me just add some gray for the grill. We add the inside the grill here. And so let me just kind of get the bar stool here. I think I'll kind of darken it a little more. Maybe it's on 4th of July. I saw that. I saw you post on Discord with everyone looked at the fireworks. Yeah, you did send me DMs. I meant to tell you look great. I'm sorry when I mentioned earlier, but I did see like did see it kind of late last night. Last night after I got from work. Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I really loved how well that turned out. Honestly, funny enough, when I saw that, it kind of almost inspired. Even though I was planning on doing a stream today anyway, it kind of probably inspired me to actually do something that was more like 4th of July themed. Yeah, but it looks great. Thanks for sharing. But it really looks great though. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you. I love hearing it myself. Yeah, cause I like the little effects on the firework itself. You get that nice glow. Yeah, it turned out really good. Yeah, one thing I was almost tempted to actually do at one point when decided I was gonna drop it. I was almost tempted on maybe doing it be like a reference to the old the old Tom and Jerry cartoon Yankee Doodle Mouse. Figure maybe make figure maybe it'll maybe have it maybe getting tied to a rock, kind of like how Tom gets tied to a rock at the end of cartoon. Yeah, because Yankee Doodle Mouse, that's honestly one of my personal favorite like Tom and Jerry cartoons. In fact, it's no shock, that would end up getting an Academy Award because everything about it works. On top of being like a holiday theme one too. Like everything about it just worked because the comedy worked, the pacing's great too. Because this is around that period, I think 43, I think was when it came out. That's the period where they really kind of started nailing down the fast pace and feel, of their, and feel, of our timing. They had really kind of got down pat. Yeah, Safety Second is great too. Yeah, Safety Second, I think it's a great sequel too. Because it's funny because like they both work in different ways. Like it's funny how Yankee Doodle Mouse, Tom is Tom kind of gets more of the brunt that takes the brunt that the more like slapstick antics. Whereas Safety Second, even though Tom gets it pretty bad too, Jerry gets as bad if not worse there too. Because Tuffy's always like shooting off those fireworks. Also, I really like that clip you sent of that one. You sent of that cartoon you sent of I think it was for Universal Studios where Scott Bradley was actually composing the music. Because I didn't think about, but I didn't think about it. But I think it would make sense that that Scott Bradley would actually kind of make music for like other cartoons, like outside, like MGM and for Tom and Jerry stuff. Because I figure when you're actually a really great composer like him, you wouldn't just make stuff for like for Warner, say for like for MGM. You wouldn't, it makes sense you do stuff for probably for Walter Lance as well. Although I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember. Did you work for Wal? I'm trying to. Did you work for Lance before MGM? Let me look that up real quick. I think the cool thing about him is that if I can play real quick. Direct by Palms, Very Combined, Tampa City Orchestra. Yeah, because I'm looking at apparently he did stuff with MGM. He worked with Ruff. He worked with Tex Avery. Cause I was looking up some. Sorry, I missed. I'm talking. I was also looking up kind of stuff. Looking at his Wikipedia page too. Yeah, because I was fascinated about Scott Bradley because even though he actually his music is pretty jazz, he used like a lot of like classical music elements too. And also another thing, and I one thing I thought was cool for a lot of his compositions for the music. Like, he would often include little musical nods to other like movies or films. I recall quite a few times where he would make a nice musical nods to The Wizard of Oz, or make like a little reference to like Anchors Away. Your friend Venice actually came with a plot where Wilbur actually becomes a threat and over a hospital because he was told to eat less. I got it grabbed out. Oh, really? Oh, cool. So Predator's incredible dough. So he ends up growing inside. Does he turn green too, or just kind of stays the same color? Incredible dough. That's funny. I'm just gonna thicken up the outlines a bit here too before I decide to call it for today. And I meant to have a little more art to share, art charge and share than I did during the initial post I posted yesterday. Because besides all busy work, the time just kind of got away from me. And plus, since I was kind of mainly on doing more work for my the comic I'm gonna do at May at the Comic Con. Yeah, I found myself. It'll become green Sunday. Yeah, I feel they would. How I decide to do it. How I decide to do it. I kind of want. Yeah, don't give it away just yet. When you decide to get around to do it, I kind of want to be a surprise. Let me actually get the under get the bottom of the parcel here too. Bop bop bop. Let me get my pencil out. Hang on. Let me see. Yeah, because that's for a brief detour. This is for a brief detour. Some of you probably already saw this already, but basically since it's probably the newest part of Manny at TuneCon, where right now it's probably where he's kind of process kind of like getting to know your staff. So of course, now it's kind of getting with his staff. Like some he's actually kind of making friends of, others still kind of like suspicious nature. Because since like Manny still kind of cantanker his prankster in a way. He stand. We can and will end up kind of starting a little bit of commotion at the actual convention. And of course, He can always resist, an old gag. Where's the pencil I had? I've also kind of seen for a couple of my stories. Oh, cool. Because I know you should. Yeah, whatever. Uh oh. Sorry, I had a video playing in the background. I don't know how that happened. Okay, cool. Yeah, once you, if you had a chance, like once you're kind of done with your sketches, if you could, yeah, hopefully you could probably send them over so I can see them because that was great getting a chance to look at your work. I always like how colorful it is. Also, I meant to tell you earlier. I like that Billy and Mandy one. Yeah, she shared a little while back, a few days ago. Yeah, they actually look pretty great in your style. And I don't know if I mentioned it in the last like live stream I did, but cool. I don't know if I mentioned in the last stream, but I think I but I think about it actually about 2 years ago I went to MomoCon. I briefly saw the voice actor for Billy on Richard Horvitz at the convention, and I wish that when I was there I got a chance to actually go up and just actually meet him and get his autograph because there were a few folks. Speaking of, I got a little something planned. Thank you. I think that show and I share a brain. Oh yeah, because it's got that good, nice mix, of that comedy, but also that bit of like absurdist and horror style like humor. You know, I need to give that show a rewatch one of these days. In fact, I need to check and see if Tubi has it now, because a lot of those old shows on Tubi. I mean, a lot of the old like Cartoon Network shows, like they've been moved to Tubi now. But I wish I got a chance to actually just see him though, because I remember he had a pretty long line too. In fact, there was a few folks there that had some pretty long lines when I was there. I think he had a pretty long line. Steve Blum, who voiced the spy from Cowboy Bebop, he had some pretty long lines. There was a few other folks that had some pretty long lines too. Because I think when I was there, I think I was mainly there to actually I was mainly there to see Tom Ruger, who kind of was co-creator of like Animaniacs and Tiny Toons. Now, surprised, I think his line was fairly short. I think when I went up there, I think there was only like one other person in line. Well, I had to go see them. There was some other folks I was planning to go. I was planning to see there too, but I think they ended up kind of leaving a little early for that day. I think he was there. They also had the Scott Wenger, yeah, and Linda Larkin. Those are voice actors for Aladdin, Jasmine from Aladdin. They were there. I think Jodie Benson, who voiced Ariel, she was there too. I think her line was actually fairly long. When I went to see two, and Tom Ruger was there, but the line from Mouth Matthew was so long my dad could sit. Oh really? Oh man! Oh wow! Oh wow! I can imagine, especially if it's at a larger con. Yeah, but also Ralph Badger being such a well-known actor, I'm not surprised it was that big. Because that made me think about how when I went by Dragon Con last year, they had a thing, for back. They had a thing for it was the 30th anniversary of Back to the Future, so I think Christopher Lloyd was there. I think some of the other actors was there too. And see, they had it like in one. I forgot what building they had it in downtown, but I remember being where they were gonna have it because they had their own like little Q&A just to get an idea how long it was. Like it wasn't like up to the door. It was like right out the door. It was right out the door. It was around. It was around the corner of the building. Like it was that long. So I can only. So I'm not surprised it went from Mount Malachi. It was that long. Because I think as far as actually like famous actors that I've seen, at least aside from voice actors, I know. I did briefly. I know last year I briefly saw Michael Winslow. Now he was the guy that's known from not only the police academies, but also for doing all those special sound effects. I got a chance to meet him at a Q&A. And even though I get a chance to really meet him, I saw him briefly. Think the guy, think the guy had who did Flash Gordon, the original guy. He was there too. Or at least had the shortest lines. You know, it's funny you mention that March to March because I know when I went to meet him at Chattanooga Comic Con, his line was fairly short. I think while I was there, I think it was probably about 4 people ahead of me. In fact, quite a lot of the voice actors I went to go see, I normally didn't have to wait that. I normally didn't have to wait that long. I think the only time I had to do a little bit of waiting was when I went to meet I think I had to meet Bill Farmer, and especially I had to meet Rob Paulson. Yeah, there was quite a good size line. But also when I saw him that time, his line was right up against I think it was Devin Coleman, because this guy who did Michelangelo. Not Devin Coleman, hang on. No, Townsend Coleman, that's it, Townsend Coleman. Yeah, because he had a line right next to him, Paulson. So that's probably why he's even big. Because you had two of the OG, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, two Ninja Turtles right next to each other, two Betty and Wetmore Marsh. Okay, so your line was a little shorter than mine was. So your line was definitely much shorter. Yeah, I think I had at least 4 people ahead of me. They had me when I saw Marlisa Marsh. Honestly, I'm kind of making a goal, like kind of at least see nearly get a chance to kind of at least see and meet nearly all the characters from the OG like animes cast. Because I've already met Paulson, I've already met Marlisha Marsh, and so I still need to meet like Jess Harnell, Tress McNeil. Although I don't, to my knowledge, I don't think she does. I don't think she does cons that often. But if she ever gets a chance to decide to do him again, I'll definitely get a chance to meet her. I'd like to meet Frank Welker. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. And I think later on, I think I'll probably use some ink pen to kind of like go to kind of to actually kind of go over my line work. I only use pencil here to kind of really get it. I saw it briefly when I was there. Oh, cool! Oh, that's great. You got a chance to see her. That's excellent. And I know for this upcoming Chattanooga Comic I'm going to this year. Oh, that's excellent. Oh, that's cool. Paul's and Melissa were right next to each other. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, both Pink and Brain right next to each other at the same con. Yeah, that is great. Y'all invite me too, because even though I've already met Paulson and Marlisha Marsh, it was on 2 separate locations. So the fact you got to see them when they were together, that's really cool. But also speaking of like actors and voice actors, I'm planning meeting pretty soon. I know this upcoming year for not this upcoming year, actually this year when I go to Chattanooga Comic Con, I'll be seeing. There's a couple of friends that are gonna be there. Phil Lamar, who did like Samurai Jack, Hermes and Futurama. Yeah, he's going to be there. But also Gray Delisle, Gray Delisle, from voices to Emily from Cliff's Big Dog, like Vicky from Fairly Odd Parents, Zula from Avatar. Yep, she's gonna be there. And I'm really jazzed to see her because she's definitely one of my favorite kind of like voice actresses. Aside from Tress McNeil. I think there's a few others too. In fact, I think I'll have to keep an eye on and see who else they have on it because I know they updated. They rarely update like what new guests they're gonna have at the convention. At least at this particular one. Oh, that's right. Oh, Wasby too. Oh, nice. Oh, that's really nice. Cool. Okay, I believe I'll probably cut it off here. If I can move the camera out a little bit more so you guys can see this one a little bit better. All right, so there's our kind of blow up man here, and I think and so here's man kind of wish you guys a happy 4th of July. Keep your grill and firework working separate. Oh my god, I don't know why I keep doing that. That would happen. Happens when I draw and talk at the same time. I always get my tongue tied mixed up. What is wrong with me? All right, well, that how about I leave that's all I gotta do for today. I'll probably do a little bit of I think he's probably just wearing shorts this time. I think I probably just keep him to have maybe just wearing like standard like white shorts just go around. Thought maybe color him in, but I think I probably keep them blank this time. But I think what I'll probably do probably later on today, like right before I post it, I might do a little bit of tweaks here and there. Because normally, look for me, what I do is every time I finish like drawing something, I usually like to step away for a couple of minutes. I'll come back to it. If I see anything that needs to be tweaked or added, I'll actually I'll probably add some stuff to it later on. Because I feel if you step away from it a little while and come back with some fresh eyes, you can actually spot some mistakes or things where you can actually like do touch ups later on down the line. Of course, I still need to find my thicker like ink pen because once I find that, then I'll actually use that to actually draw my dialogue here. But until then, I post. I hope you have a great, like 4th of July. I'm glad you're able to drop in. It's really great seeing you. And until then, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And I hope to see you all next time. I tell you, time to play Rory. Yes, I was. Yeah, and that's it. I see he knows a droopy nose. I honestly thought that was just a brief little detail for that gag. So yeah, I definitely was inspired. Yeah, and I have to thank you for that. It's like, well, man, let me kind of get this touch right here. But yep, yep, yep. All right, but it's this. Yeah, but all this, guys, I have to go and head off for now. So I'll definitely talk to you guys later. But I appreciate y'all dropping in. Appreciate you dropping in, Brendan.